Care studentesse e cari studenti, buongiorno. Mi scuso per la qualità dell'audio del video di ieri. Stiamo cercando delle soluzioni alternative e presto si spera avremo una piattaforma comune e quindi utilizzeremo tutti lo stesso programma per le registrazioni. In ogni caso, ho pensato che, poiché siamo comunque all'inizio del corso, potrebbe essere una buona idea cominciare dall'inizio, dalle lezioni che ho già svolto, anche per testare un po' come funziona questo sistema. Comunque vi invito, per qualsiasi comunicazione al momento, di scrivermi un email a gscottodicarlo@chiocciolaunior.it. Vedrete che molto probabilmente i video dureranno 15 minuti ciascuno. Cercherò di metterli insieme, insomma andremo sempre più migliorando. So the first thing that we did, we studied 5 basic components of language, and we just reviewed what you did last year. You remember about phonology, okay, the study of sounds and how sounds are put together to make words. We studied morphology, and so you looked at how minimum parts like affixes, prefixes, and suffixes can be put together to create new words. Okay, we talked about derivational morphology and inflectional morphology. Then, during the first year, you also studied syntax, so how words are put together to form sentences. But this year, we're going to deal with semantics, the meanings of words, and pragmatics, how words are put together, but in a context, okay? The meaning of words in context. So, as for part number 1, we are going to look at the differences between pragmatics, discourse analysis, and semantics. So, what is semantics? Semantics is basically the study of what words mean per se, of what they mean by themselves, out of a context. But we also analyzed pragmatics as the study of words in context. So what do pragmatics and discourse analysis do? Okay, so we were saying that both pragmatics and discourse analysis study context, text, and function. So what is context? It's based not only on physical factors, but also socio-physiological, psychological aspects that influence our communication. You always have to remember that meaning is based on assumptions of knowledge. What does this mean? That not every time, it's not possible, that not always when whatever a speaker wants to say or wants to mean is what actually the listener will understand. Okay, it all depends on the person who is listening. Number 2, text. So you have to remember that when we're talking about text in linguistics, it is a matter not only of written texts, but also oral texts. Okay, because conversational analysis, for instance, analyzes oral communication. But most importantly, both semantics and discourse analysis study cohesion, how words are put together within a text. Okay, what do we mean by context, the word context? It is always necessary to analyze several aspects. Number one, situational context. What speakers know and listeners know about what is immediately around them. And we'll look at some examples in a couple of minutes. Plus, there's also background knowledge context. This means not only what happens in the world of knowledge around these people, what speakers know about each other and about the world around them. And finally, contextual context that refers to what the speaker and the listeners know about what they have been saying. So let's look at this dialogue that we read together last week. So you went to Aaron. A bit of a come down, isn't it? And the person laughs. It was nice, actually. Have you been to Aaron? No, I've not. Like to go. Did a lot of climbing. I went with Francesca and David. Huh? Francesca's roommate, and Alice, a friend of Alice's from London. There were 6 of us. Yeah, we did a lot of hill walking. We got back. Michelle and I got home. She looked at her knees. They were like this, swollen up like this, because we did this enormous 8-hour stretch. Now, let's look at this dialogue from its context point of view. First aspect, situational context. They were like this, swollen up like this. So we said that when you look at this word this, you can almost see somebody, you can figure somebody pointing at their knees. Okay? So situational context is based on what people see. Second point, background knowledge context. Remember when we talked about discourse communities, okay? And I gave you the example of law students or language students. You definitely know some vocabulary that your friends who study law don't, and vice versa. And so that is all based on cultural context. And don't forget about interpersonal knowledge, which is acquired through interactions. Then we also covered the concept of reference. First aspect of reference that we analyzed was exophoric reference. This means when there is exophoric, exo, outside, right? So there is no previous mention of the reference in the text. Remember the section about in the dialogue. I went with Francesca and David. Huh? Francesca's roommate and Alice's, a friend of Alice's from London. There were 6 of us. Yeah, we did a lot of hill walking. So in this case, you see that AF reacts saying, to DM's statement, I went with Francesca and David. Why does this happen? Well, obviously because DM is referring to somebody who has not been previously mentioned in the text, and that perhaps AF does not recall. Okay, so that's exophoric reference. Now, you're going to notice that your book mentions deixis or deixis several times. And this means that there is a pronoun that refers to something in the context. There are 3 different types of pronouns, 3 different types of deixis. Place, space, and personal deixis. Some examples of personal deixis are we are not amused. So you went to Aaron. We got back. Michelle and I got home. She looked at her knees. They were like this. Yet, though he feels so weak and ill. In all these cases, pronouns like we, you, we, they, or he are referring to somebody with a personal pronoun. Or examples of dipsis of space, of place, sorry. They were like this. That was great, because there's another one here, right? We've got 49 there, haven't we? In all these cases, words like this, that, here, and there are referring to places that have been previously mentioned. I also wanted to add the case of, we said personal. I think I made a mistake because I said personal, place, and then there's time, okay? Words like now, then, later, tomorrow are cases of time deixis. So, just to see where we are. We were talking about reference, and we made a difference between exophoric reference and endophoric reference. Exophoric reference means outside, exo, whereas endophoric reference, inside, so reference within the text. Now, in a couple of minutes, we're going to talk about the difference between anaphoric reference and cataphoric reference. So we're basically talking about cotextual context. So as for grammatical cohesion, endophoric reference means that we are referring to something, we're mentioning something that is within the text. You've probably already studied this before, but anaphoric reference means that you are mentioning something that has been explained previously. I gave you this easy example that makes you understand the difference between anaphoric reference and cataphoric reference. Mary and Anne were good friends. They attended the same classes. Mary and Anne, the subjects, and then they. They is the anaphoric reference to Mary and Anne. Okay? Because it expresses something that has been said previously. The opposite with cataphoric reference. You are mentioning something, referring to something that will be explained later on within the text. They attended some classes. Mary and Anne were good friends. In this case, this they, the pronoun they, is anticipating the subject or the reference we are talking about, Mary and Anne. This is not used too much, but it is definitely used in literature to create a sort of suspense. In literature, for example, students, not unlike yourselves, compelled to buy paperback copies of his novels, notably the first Travel Light, though there has been lately some academic interest in his more surreal and existential, and perhaps even anarchist second novel, Brother Pig, or encountering some essay from When the Saints in a shiny heavy anthology of mid-century literature costing $12.50. Imagine that Henry Beck, like thousands less famous than he is rich. He is not. Okay? Harry Bench, Beck is only at the end of the text. Okay, so sorry for the interruption. We were talking about cataphoric reference, and so I said that Henry Beck is only mentioned at the end of the text. He is only previously mentioned only with words, with pronouns like his or he. Okay, so it creates a sort of suspense within the text. So this is where we are. We talked about reference, exaphoric reference, endophoric reference, and now we're going to look at cases of anaphora and cataphora. This is what we just did. And now we'll move on to something else. What you see here is basically a quick summary of what we did during the second class, the one that we had on March the 4th, sorry. So we're talking about cohesion, grammatical cohesion. We already looked at reference, and during the second class, we looked at the concepts of substitution, ellipsis, and then lexical cohesion. Again, I'm going to go quite fast on this because it's just a review of what we did in class. So lexical cohesion, including the cases of repetition, synonyms, superordinates, and general words. First case, substitution. Okay, pretty intuitive. We said that substitution is a strategy that is used to avoid repetition, hold the text together by replacing a word with another one. I gave you this example of this little poem. Little boxes on the hillside, little boxes made of ticky-tacky. Little boxes, little boxes, little boxes all the same. There's a green one and a pink one and a blue one and a yellow one. And they're all made out of ticky-tacky and they all look just the same. So we said that in this case, there's a green one and a pink one are replacing. It's a substitution. They're replacing the words little boxes. Okay? What is the difference between substitution and an ellipsis? Well, they both avoid repetition and they keep the text together, but in this case, instead of replacing a word with another one, we're just keeping something out. We're leaving something out. As in the case of, have you eaten your sandwich? Or did you eat your sandwich? Yes, I did. Instead of just repeating, yes, I did eat my sandwich. Indeed, you are cutting that part off, you're leaving it out, and so you are avoiding repetition. Now, moving on to lexical cohesion. We looked at the case of repetition, okay? Also, repetition helps keeping a text together. We looked at this case from Lawrence. The child put the pale chrysanthemums to her lips, murmuring, "Don't they smell beautiful?" Her mother gave a short laugh. "No," she said, "not to me. It was chrysanthemums when I married him, and chrysanthemums when you were born." I just can't pronounce this word. "And the first time they ever brought him home drunk, he'd got brown chrysanthemums in his buttonhole." Le ho detto buttonhole occhiello. In this case, the repetition is emphasizing something, okay? It was the same flower over and over again, and this is creating an effect within the text. Okay? It's bringing some emotion into the text, probably. And then synonyms. Synonyms basically mean that we are using another word, avoiding repetition, another word that has more or less the same meaning. And we looked at this case in class. At some 75 centimeters across, and capable of cracking open a coconut shell with its formidable claws, the land-dwelling coconut crab is your beach lounger's worst nightmare. Fortunately for the sunbather, the world's largest terrestrial arthropod has seemingly always been confined to tropical islands across the Pacific and Indian Oceans. In this case, you found two synonyms, the beach loungers and also, the sunbather. Okay, two synonyms, but also coconut crab and the world's largest terrestrial arthropod. Okay, so two words that are more or less the same, but that allow us to create cohesion within the text, avoiding repetition. And then superordinates. Superordinates basically mean that you're replacing a more specific word with a general one. As in this case, the candlelight glittered on the luster glasses, on the two vases that held some of the pink chrysanthemums, and on the dark mahogany. There was a cold, deathly smell of chrysanthemums in the room. Elizabeth stood looking at the flowers. In this case, flowers is the superordinate, and chrysanthemums is just a variety of flowers. Okay, so I can create a difference. I can avoid repetition by using a more general word. And this leads us to the last category of general words. When you are basically using a category of set or a set of things, people, that are used to talk about an idea as a whole. These examples include words like furniture, money, equipment, shoes, okay? General words that include several more. There's not really a big difference between general words and superordinates, okay? Let's say that you would use this second case when you want to keep it vague. So again, this is where we are. We're talking about cohesion. There's a difference between grammatical cohesion and lexical cohesion. Grammatical cohesion includes reference. Remember about cataphoric reference, anaphoric reference for endophoric reference, and exophoric reference. We talked about substitution, so replacing something with something else, and ellipsis when you're leaving something out. Then we discussed the concepts of lexical cohesion. Lexical cohesion includes repetition, okay, repeating something, synonyms, using a word with more or less the same meaning, superordinates and general words, where you are using one word that is more specific and then using the superordinate, the more general word, and also general words that include groups of things without further specifying them. Please give me a second because I don't remember what this link refers to, but okay, sorry for the interruption, but what I wanted to say is that towards the end of the class, we watched this TED Talk video, okay, Being Pragmatic with Linguistics by Gordon Dobby, and this gave you a general introduction about what pragmatics does, what it analyzes, and how there are some cultural differences that have to be noticed when we are studying pragmatics, okay? So there and the scholar is Scottish, if I remember correctly. And so he shows the difference that there were between French people and Turkish people, and how this has to be studied within the context of pragmatics. Okay. As for the songs, for the first week, we did 2 songs. We analyzed the lyrics of what's it called? Freddie Mercury's Bohemian Rhapsody, which I will add during the next in the next video. And then we also looked at Dance Monkey. Okay, so I will prepare another brief video with the lyrics. Okay, so the first song that we did on Monday was Bohemian Rhapsody. So I'll read the lyrics, and then as I can't post the video, as I can't play the video from here for copyright purposes, I just invite you to listen to it on YouTube. Is this the real life? Is this just fantasy? Caught in a landslide, no escape from reality. Open your eyes, look up to the skies and see. I'm just a poor boy. I need no sympathy, because I'm easy come, easy go, little high, little low. Any way the wind blows doesn't really matter to me. Mama, just killed a man. Put a gun against his head, pulled my trigger, now he's dead. Trigger, vi ricordo, grilletto. Mama, life had just begun. But now I've gone and thrown it all away. Mama, didn't mean to make you cry. If I'm not back again this time tomorrow, carry on, as nothing really matters. Too late, my time has come. Send shivers, brividi, down my spine. Body's aching all the time. Goodbye, everybody. I gotta go. Gotta leave you all behind and face the truth. Mama, any way the wind blows. I don't want to die. I sometimes wish I'd never been born at all. I see a little silhouette of a man. Scaramouche, Scaramouche. Will you do the fandango? Thunderbolt and lightning. Very, very frightening me. Galileo. Figaro, magnifico. Difficult to say, to read without singing it. But I'm just a poor boy. Nobody loves me. He's just a poor boy from a poor family. Spare him his life from this monstrosity. Okay, and then there's the chorus. So you think you can stone me and spit in my eye? Lapidare, vi ricordo, stone. So you think you can love me and leave me to die? Oh, baby, you can't do this to me, baby. Just gotta get out, just gotta get right out of here. Nothing really matters. Anyone can see. Nothing really matters to me, anywhere the wind blows. So this is the lyrics of the first song, and you can look it up on YouTube and listen to it. And now I'm going to look at the lyrics of the first song that we analyzed together. The second song, Dance Monkey. So they say, oh my God, I see the way you shine. Take your hands, my dear, and place them both in mine. You know you stopped me dead while I was passing by. And now I beg to see you dance just one more time. I see you every time. And oh my, I like your style. You make me want to cry. And now I beg to see you dance just one more time. So they say, dance for me, dance for me, dance for me. I've never seen anybody do the things you do before. They say, move for me, move for me, move for me. And when you're done, I'll make you do it all again. I said, oh my God, I see you walking by. Take my hands, my dear, and look me in the eyes. Just like a monkey, I've been dancing my whole life. But you just beg to see me dance just one more time. I see you every time. You make me want to cry. And now I beg to see you dance just one more time. And then it repeats and repeats and repeats. Okay? So this was just a quick review of the first two classes because we've already had a class at Orientale, at least for the first week. If you have any questions about this first part, please send me an email. First of all, let me know if the audio is okay. If you have any questions, I'll answer as soon as possible. Okay, and then as soon as I figure out another platform, perhaps we can use that. Okay, so that's all for now. Have a nice day. Okay, during our second class, we also talked about different types of speech acts. And specifically, we talked about Searle's 1976 speech act theories. We looked at several types of speech act. First one was declarations. Declarations change the world when they are uttered, when they are pronounced. I gave you the example of, I hereby pronounce you husband and wife. If you think about it, those words pronounced by the mayor, priest, whoever, create a different state of things. From that moment onwards, two people are married as husband and wife. I'm going to skip representatives for now and go down to commissives. Commissives are acts that mean that a speaker commits to doing something in the future. Okay, it's basically about a promise. I promise I'll come to your party tomorrow. Okay, in that case, you are promising, you're committing yourself to doing something in the future. Directives. Directives aim at making the hearer do something. Okay, we're dealing with commands. Say, close the door. I'm giving you, it's a direct speech act that is commanding you, demanding you to do something. But it can also include requests, forbidding, and so on. Okay, like close the door. Then there are also expressives that can be used to express how the speaker feels. And we can read that in the lines of, if I'd known I was going to live this long, I would have taken care of myself. Okay, this is an example that your book gives you. Most importantly, during that second class, we focused on Felicity conditions. Situations, conditions that have to be satisfied in order for communication to work. And we looked at the differences between Austin's Felicity conditions and Searle's Felicity conditions. According to Austin, basically, to put it very, very simple, in a very, very simple way, the context and the role of all the participants have to be recognized by all those who are participating in a conversation. And especially, there must be an intentionality behind what people are doing. Searle keeps it a little is a little easier in its explanation. It's a little basic in its concept, in his explanation, and he says that there are two conditions basically. The hearer must have the ability of hearing in that moment, and the speaker must not be pretending. And I gave you some examples with the dialogue. The context. This is right from your book, and the context is that there are some students who are in the garden and it's brunch time or lunch time, and they're talking about going to get some buns. So MM says, I think I might go and have another bun. The other person, I was going to get another bun. Could you get me a tuna and a sweet corn one, please? Me as well. So if we want to apply Austin's theory to this, we can say that the concept of bun lunch has to be understood. Okay? If you remember in class, some of you asked me what the word bun meant. Okay? Like a sort of sandwich. And then the role, well, about the role has to be equal. Okay? Remember that I told you that if you're just a group of people who are talking, of students, you're definitely going to use a different language if there is, for instance, a professor or the dean. Okay? You are not equals, so you wouldn't ask or even demand a bun to a professor. And then there is a common intention. There's the intention of going to get something to eat. For surly, the conditions are that these people can physically hear what this person is saying, what he's asking for, and they all are not pretending. They genuinely want a bun to eat. Going back to that sentence that I showed you before, I now pronounce you husband and wife. Think of it in these terms. Felicity condition. If these two people have not completed their documents, they cannot, or they are not officially married. Okay? So they're just words, and they do not have a concrete effect in reality, in the real world. And this was the last part for the summary of the classes that we had on March the 2nd and March the 4th. Okay, I'm not going to create another playlist with the explanations for the class that should have been held on March the 9th. Thank you for listening, and if you have any comments, you can add your comment in the playlist or send me an email. Thank you.